How to protect yourself from the negative. How often do you hear, "Spoiled my mood, nerves, he, she, is poisoning my life"? And if you think about it, every time we are talking about events and insignificant things that are not worthy of attention, they were rude in the transport, they were cheated in the store, they said something wrong at work. In life there are real troubles and tragedies, death and disease, treason and betrayal, natural disasters and catastrophes. But, thank God, such tests fall on the share of the average inhabitant of planet Earth quite rarely. Why not be happy the rest of the time? Why we allow little things to spoil our lives? Heart problems. The problem is that many of us take various unpleasant manifestations of the outside world too close to our hearts. The ancients believed, and modern psychologists echo them, that a person, in addition to the visible physical body, has an invisible and imperceptible spiritual biofield, aura, soul, call it what you want. It is impossible to touch this spiritual twin body physically, but it can be sensitive to effects on the spiritual level, on the level of emotions. The spiritual body consists of several layers, the center of which is the heart. It is not in vain that the words heart and middle are related, and not only in Russian. Such a meeting, getting into trouble is easy. And showing Christian humility, and entering into a skirmish, you begin to play by the rules of the murderer. What to do faced with an emotional killer and not being ready for? The best option is to avoid communication. If for some reason you can't avoid it, for example, in public transport, you will have to defend yourself. But it is necessary to do this without letting the murderer drag himself into protracted battles on the emotional front, where you are obviously weaker. Therefore, you just have to have a blitzkrieg carcass check and checkmate in one bottle, calmly, without raising your voice. In no case should the enemy be allowed to feel your weakness and sip your energy. Send the emotional killer on foot erotic journey into Google. I have not watched a movie in a movie theater, by the way, a very positive comedy, The Soul of the Company, and there my mother explained to her daughter what it was like. Google. Peas a Google. I laughed a lot. I remember this expression, now I always use it to express myself beautifully. Tell them go Google. If you suddenly do not know what kind of cruise it is, ask your husband or boyfriend, he will tell. Being correctly performed, this technique is comparable to a kick in the groin, only on a spiritual level. Allows you to instantly break through the multi-layer armor of even an experienced, battle-hardened murderer. Now let him suffer and suffer, so as not to take it to heart. Murderers at work is a separate issue. On the one hand, to avoid meeting, especially if you are working with a fighter of the emotional front in the same room, is problematic. On the other hand, it's seemingly scary to use the techniques of tough emotional combat. You can lose your good job, especially since the murderer may well be your boss. So remember, a place where you are not valued, where you are humiliated, where your mental, and, as a result, physical, health is under constant threat. This is not a good job just by definition. Do not be afraid, you will find better. Conclusion: we have considered only a few general situations. There is no advice for all occasions. The main thing is to understand the principle and correctly prioritize. Having understood that your own health, well-being and mood are much more important for you, you will not take all the other people's attacks to heart. Ksenia Rich.